Right. Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to this EDF workshop on new nuclear services. So I guess you know EDF as a major nuclear operator. I guess you know EDF as a major nuclear technology provider, an EPC integrator, but probably you don't know EDF as a consultancy and service providers in the field of new nuclear services. So that's the topic of our workshop today. We're very pleased to introduce you to this topic. I am Antoine Gelfi. I'm Director of Export Services at the International Nuclear Development Department of EDF. My background is more than 25 years at in the nuclear industry, mainly nuclear engineering, nuclear project management. Happy to see familiar faces, and also international corporations. I've got the great pleasure to be accompanied today by Sylvain.
Thank you, Antoine. So my name is Sylvain. I'm working with Antoine on the development of new nuclear services. I have 20 years of background in the energy sector, and mainly in commercial activities from EDF as well. And I occupy various positions in procurement, business development, sales, marketing, and communication. And I am happy to be here with you today.
So we'd like to present three things today. First one, a very short reminder about EDF. I guess most of you are familiar with that company, and please visit our booth. We're present until tomorrow night. So we'll have a short presentation. Then we'll move to the very core of our presentation, which is what is our value propositions in terms of support to new nuclear projects. And we will give precise, to make it more less theoretical, let's say, we'll give precise references taken from our international track record. So let's start with EDF.
Let's continue on EDF, presentation of EDF. So I'm sure that you know EDF. We are a group committed to fight against climate change. Our resonance and our purpose is very clear. Build a net zero energy future with electric and innovative solutions and services to help save the planet, enjoy well-being and economic development. And clearly, when we want to develop capacity, worldwide capacity for customer and for every country, we completely fit these objectives. So EDF is an electrical company. We have some assets in electrical generation, nuclear power, hydropower, biomass, and also renewable wind and solar. We have activity in the grid, transmission and network assets in that topics. Energy supplier as well. We have customer worldwide, 40 million customers to sell electricity and energy supply services, and also optimization and training. In 2024, the group generates 720 terawatts of electricity. It was 92% low-carbon electricity. And one topic I want also to highlight, in the EDF Group, we have 191,000 people working and committing to work on nuclear energy and on energy as a whole. If we look on the nuclear assets of the EDF and also of the French nuclear industry, we are in Paris, in Villepin today, and you see how nuclear energy is relevant in France. So EDF is present on all the value chain of the nuclear activity, from reactor design, engineering, construction, commissioning, support to operation, long-term operation, training and decommissioning and waste management. We operate 66 reactors in Europe, only operated by EDF, so 75 in France and 9 in the UK. On the French point of view, nuclear is the third industrial sector, and we have more than 220,000 jobs in France, and I heard a new figures published by the GFN, and it was up to 250,000 jobs in France today, and more than 202,000 SMEs involved. And I'm sure that you have a pleasure to see all these SMEs in the French pavilions. So now I let the floor to Antoine to present the value proposition.
Yes, so to start with value proposition, in simple words, very basically, it's based on our legacy, which is just decades of developing new nuclear programs in France, in the UK, and abroad. And so covering the entire, life cycle of the nuclear installation, and speaking about new nuclear projects from the very early stages of design up to the operational phase, passing by, of course, construction and commissioning phase. So this has given us a truly unrivaled experience that we can use for the benefit of our clients. So, of course, I'm not speaking here about the global EPC offers we can make for new nuclear projects, but as you will see, more specific services for supporting new nuclear programs. So the main concept is just we use our unique expertise in developing this support. So we can, to make it more precise now, the services we are presenting today are dedicated to countries wishing to launch new nuclear programs, as you've understood. So that is to say, either new coming countries, embarking countries like the IESAs, or already experienced nuclear countries wishing to expand their nuclear fleet. And EDF can help at each stage of their nuclear program, even if it's a very beginning. I will show some example afterwards, or if it's already well advanced, we can also provide expertise to support. And of course, we can cover the famous 19 infrastructures issues defined by IEA. I guess you're all familiar with that, because we've just set up this in France and in the UK now for decades already, so we have this strong experience. Last point on this slide is, of course, we can support existing or future nuclear operators, but not only. We can provide support to more institutional bodies like governments. I will give an example, or regulators, and also very important, all the industrial companies from the supply chain, okay? So, to be even more precise, here are several examples of the fields in which we can support. Starting with very early in the process, for example, supporting the development of a nuclear roadmap. I mean, a national nuclear roadmap for a country. And we've done that recently in Serbia. We directly contracted with the Serbian government to help them establish their nuclear roadmap for the country. Okay? Coming with that is analysis of how nuclear power fits in the national energy mix or into the electrical grid. This is key to understand and to assess. And so this is part of the early studies that EDF can help a given country in their preliminary thoughts about launching a program. Then we can go to more technical studies like siting studies. And as I guess you know, we have a very strong in-house nuclear engineering force, almost 7,000 nuclear engineers within the EDF Group. So yes, 7,000 nuclear engineers. This is a workforce which is quite unique in the world and we can use for the benefits of different clients and partners. And something very important is skills development. We speak about human capacity building, human resources development. Of course, for all involved stakeholders, EDF can provide this kind of support, training programs, and including for the industrial companies of the supply chain. We can help them reach the nuclear standards, okay? Right, so these are examples, and this slide is showing exactly what I've just said, so for in another way of presenting, but you can read also by yourself. But national energy mix analysis is one example, nuclear roadmap I mentioned, site pre-assessment, so you know, site survey, site pre-assessment, site evaluation. These are technical fields in which we can provide support. One I forgot to mention, Sylvain, is also the legal framework of a given country. We can help either establish this regulatory framework or assess it against international requirements, again, based on our experience in France, in UK, but also in China, in South Africa, etc. Yeah. And so as long as your project continues and becomes more tangible, of course, we can provide more and more in-depth studies like, again, siting detailed feasibility studies. We did that in a number of countries. More detailed grid, electrical grid requirements analysis, compliance with the international standards, analysis of the impact of introducing nuclear power plants in the existing grid. This requires a lot of modeling tools, methods that we have, of course, developed in-house, and we have the human workforce to do so. And of course, next slide. Thank you, Sylvain. When you are a nuclear operator, we come into the field of what I call more industrial services towards existing nuclear operators. So this is not the topic of the workshop. This is more classical industrial services that can be provided by, for example, our subsidiary Framatome. And you will find here, of course, support to the lifetime extension, LTO, load following. We can share our unique expertise in flexible operation. And we can also provide more detailed assessments on specific topics like materials aging. We have the Materials Aging Institute, which is a strong expertise entity depending on the EDF Group. We can also perform e-monitoring, diagnosis and analysis thanks to our startup Metroscope, for example. And later in the lifetime of the nuclear power plant, of course, waste management and dismantling services. So this is important to know that even when you are starting a new build program, we have all these assets as EDF and you can use them. I think that's it. And so I will leave the floor to Sylvain for this slide.
Yeah, thank you, Antoine. So Antoine talked about human capacity and training, and of course within EDF we can provide some training for customers who want to embark in the nuclear program. On the left side of this slide, you have some general nuclear training we can provide, such as general safety culture assessment and management, IAM milestone approach and detailed expression, nuclear project management, because it's a huge project you have to manage, stakeholder management and public acceptance, because it's also a key topic when you want to develop nuclear. Nuclear economics funding and financing issue is also a topic that you can provide some training. On the right side of this slide, you have a nuclear training capability on more technical topics like code and standards. When you want to develop a nuclear supply chain, you have to develop this code and standard and to learn about standards in nuclear, radioactivity and radioactive protection, fuel cycle and waste management, notably with cycle life, nuclear safety fundamentals and management to go deeper than we can learn here. And also services how to be a responsible operator and training program, because it's not only training is not only at the beginning of a project, it's all the life cycle of your assets. Actually on this kind of training, this is just some example that we can offer. Of course, we are completely open to have over discussion on about training. We are completely focused on customer attitude and want to develop your assets and notably to perform training on this solution. Now let's have a look on how we can shape this kind of services. The first one is expert consultancy analysis. So by providing expertise on key topics, like give us some advice, some recommendation, some peer review from our expert, EDF expert on specific topic. We can provide technical studies, so it's more deeper technical studies on site survey, for example, site evaluation, grid studies, but also up to comprehensive and full feasibility study we can provide also these kind of services. Training in session and workshop, we already talked about that just later, so I don't go back on this domain. And we can also share some expertise from EDF expertise, but also from subsidiary and from the French nuclear expertise by providing industrial visits and study too. Now let's take the minutes we have together to talk about references and track record, and to talk about Serbia. And of course, when we want to develop a nuclear program, the first step is to design a nuclear roadmap. Because if you look at the AEA milestone approach, if you look at the comprehensive report you have to develop and to find a nice non-position to go or not go to the nuclear, you have to develop you have to develop a nuclear roadmap. Thanks to our experience in France, thanks to our experience in the UK and the eventuation scene we gain, we can help customers and countries to develop this kind of nuclear roadmap. The second topic Antoine told us about, grid study, it's also key to look at your grid, look at what happens when you enter, you put nuclear in the energy mix. So we do this kind of services for Saudi Arabia notably, and also for Serbia in the same package. We work for the Republic of Serbia. We talk about nuclear training. So we can organize also some summer school with I2EN. The booth is in the French pavilion. You could also visit I2EN, which is the International Institute for Nuclear Energy. So we have provided 4 editions of summer school for Saudi students. We provided also 1 week training program on fundamental nuclear energy and also on project management to Indian utilities, in order to provide then some insight and on the clue to develop a nuclear project. So nuclear project management, of course, commissioning, construction, financing, and procurement, how to develop also a supply chain. And I come to the fourth topic, supply chain development. We know that it's clue when you want to develop a nuclear program to embark with you your nuclear supply chain. And within EDF, we are providing some training, notably for the supplier, to go in this program and to upgrade, notably to the code and standards of the nuclear activities. For instance, in South Africa, we made some training sessions for South African ministry in order to give all the crew and all the upgrade the local supplier to talk about nuclear activity and to be in the program of Coburg activities. In Poland, we also developed a training station on code and standards, specific code and standards on nuclear for the Polish supply chain with partner EGOS there. We provide also some RCC Academy in India in order to give a more powerful information on the nuclear, and notably go maybe deeper in how works a nuclear power plant and how works a pressurized water reactor, notably for this supplier. And of course, we provide many industrial days and many suppliers there to embark all the supply chain in the program, and also all the stakeholders which are important to embark in the new nuclear program.
And to continue this very long list, sorry for that, I was speaking about technical studies that we can provide with our own in-house engineering workforce. So we can perform very comprehensive feasibility studies about the implementation of a nuclear power plant on a given site. And we did that recently in the Netherlands, covering all aspects of siting considerations, plus compliance with the national regulations, in that case, the Dutch regulation. We've done that in Slovenia recently. We're currently doing it in Finland. We did it also a more high-level study a couple of years ago in Bahrain, Kingdom of Bahrain. And we can do like more specific, very customized studies. We did, for example, in Singapore, they asked EDF expertise to come and, explain what would be the implications of designing and constructing a nuclear power plant underground. So that kind of difficult question we can answer with our own experience, knowledge in design and operation. And last example, in Kazakhstan, for example, we were asked to assess the cooling capacities of a given heat sink, which in that case was a big lake, for cooling a new nuclear power plant. So you see, even though EDF is not building in Kazakhstan, but our expertise was called by the Kazakh people to help secure their projects. That's what I said at the beginning. I think it's a very good illustration on how our expertise can really meet custom solutions and deliver confidence in the project, the new build project of many, many stakeholders, including the ones for which we don't have any project in terms of full EPC contractor. I think that ends our presentation.
Yes.
But we wanted to make it quite precise and not only theoretical, so I hope you enjoyed. And so we are happy to take questions in the meeting room just next to this one. If you have, we can stay 15 minutes, something like that. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. Thanks.